The Ontario Fire Marshal's office says it will conduct tests this fall to better understand how handheld fuel containers could ignite and inadvertently become flamethrowers when used around products such as ethanol-fueled lamps and recreational fire pits. The analysis comes as the office said it has noted 4 incidents in the last 6 years where the phenomenon, known as flame jetting, has occurred, leaving people with horrific injuries and, in one case, killing a woman. Dr. Judith Bies died of severe injuries days after flames that flew out of an open refueling container hit her. Her husband James McGorman said it's time for rules around fuel containers to change and called for flame arresters to be required on all containers with volatile substances. James McGorman, the Canadian Press handout, the impact of the injuries and fatalities are extreme on the people who are directly involved or in the area when it happens, said Jeff Tubby, a supervisor with the Quality Assurance and Risk Management Unit at the Office of Ontario's Fire Marshal, which conducts fire investigations and provides fire safety guidelines in the province. The office's testing will look at the factors behind flame jetting, and will eventually result in a report to Health Canada, Tubby said, noting it would be up to the federal agency to decide what to do with the findings. The results of the testing will also help the Fire Marshal Office's staff if they are called to testify about flame jetting in court, he said. Article continued below. Flame jetting occurs when fuel is poured on products such as lamps and fire pits that appear to be extinguished but aren't, Tubby explained. Flames follow fuel fumes back to the fuel container, travel inside and combust. That propels liquid fuel out, turning the container into a flamethrower, Tubby said. Read more. Handling gasoline? Here's what you need to know. Secret report on toxic workplace at Ontario's Fire and Emergency Agency leads to change, but report remains secret. Prepaying for gas is about life and death, says family friend of dead Mississauga worker. The person who is doing the pouring is usually not the one hurt, it's the victim in the direct path of the flame jet, he said. One way to guard against the phenomenon is by having a flame arrestor, plastic or wire mesh that absorbs heat from a container and prevents fire from traveling inside, on fuel containers, said Tubby, in noting that it's up to the product's manufacturer to install one. Article continued below. 4 incidents of flame jetting. The office is aware of all involved ethanol-fueled appliances, Tubby said, adding that Health Canada was notified of the one that involved a fatality. Hannah Engel, an Ottawa woman who suffered severe injuries after a flame jetting incident this spring, welcomed news of the testing. Engel said she was in a friend's backyard when a guest poured fuel on an outdoor fire pit thinking the flames had died out. The container carrying the fuel ignited and was thrown, hitting Engel, she said. The 24-year-old said she was left with 2nd and 3rd-degree burns on a third of her body and underwent extensive surgery. She has since called for firmer regulations around fire-related products. You can't be scared of fire, but you can use it properly and have safety measures around it, she said. It's never too late. The fatal incident involving flame jetting that the Fire Marshal's office is aware of took place in August 2016, when a Peterborough, ONT, dentist was killed after an ethanol-fueled lamp exploded. Dr. Judith Bies was sitting near the lamp at a cottage when a friend, who thought the lamp's flame had gone out, tried to refuel it, Bies' family said. Flames that flew out of the open refueling container hit Bies, who died of severe injuries days later, said her husband, who is currently suing the maker of the lamp, alleging its product was unsafe. James McGorman said it's time for rules around fuel containers to change and called for flame arresters to be required on all containers with volatile substances. It's time we had some action, he said. Health Canada said ethanol bottles are subjected to regulation under the Canada Consumer Product Safety Act, which requires the products to be labelled correctly with warnings of possible hazard. The rules contain no information about flame arresters. One company that makes products such as fire pits and lamps, and also sells bottles that contain fuel, said it puts instructions on its products warning users not to pour fuel directly onto a fire. It's kind of a common-sense product, said Justin Orr, sales director of BioFlame, which does not make the fuel containers it sells. You'd never pour fuel on a fire, Orr said. BioFlame recommends other companies in the industry put warnings on their products too.